What's up, guys? Mike here at Trader at Your Trading Group. October 10th. I don't really have much to talk about. Was basically non-event day for me. I had a real small loss in the morning on a tier 1 position. And then I had a little bit of profit on an option trade later in the afternoon, and the SPY basically canceled each other out. Wasn't really anything to, I'm small green on the day, but basically a non-event day. And we're getting a little bit of a pop here later in the SPY because of an update with some U.S. and China trade talks. So really, guys, this video, I'm going to talk to you we're going to do an update on what's going on with the U.S. and China trade talks that kicked back up today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happened last night. We had a real wild session in the futures market last night because of conflicting reports coming out of China and the U.S. regarding trade. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to have a quick little discussion on profit targets. All right, that's what we're going to go over here in this video, because I made a mistake in my afternoon trade. I could have traded it better, and it would have resulted in a much better day for me instead of just like a non-event. So we're going to go over that mistake that I made, and we're just going to get right to it. All right. My first trade of the day was an MITO. Guys, these small caps have traded so poorly over the last, I don't know, couple months now. Small caps have been so dead. They all have traded terribly. This MITO shot up, it got halted. As soon as trading resumed, pulled it right back down, gave it right back. But then what I started to see here was the trade line actually started to hold support. Okay, trade line started to hold support, and then I saw this increase in volume, which was the heaviest volume bar that we've had. And I was thinking to myself, wow, you know what? Maybe we're going to get a trade line view up cross, and that'll push the stock up through the highs. Let me take a look at this thing here, and then when I go out to the daily chart, I start to notice this level here. Okay. Start to notice this little level right there. It's right around like 870 or so. You can see this little prior support here at the end of August, and that lines up perfectly with the 50-day moving average. That also lines up with, let me delete this. I'm going to leave this line there, and now let's go back to the intraday. The high of the day also lines up with the halt price, the high of the day. So I'm thinking if we can get through this level, maybe we could see a move. All right, but I didn't trust it because I don't trust any small caps as of late. They've all traded so poorly. So I just went ahead and I bought a tier 1 position right there at $8. I forgot to grab my trade announcements. Forgot to grab my trade announcements, guys, from chat. I already closed down the chat. I closed down my system and everything. So whatever. We'll just go through it. Today's a non-event day anyway, so we'll just kind of keep going. We'll just go through it. So I entered a tier 1 position, guys, at $8. Tier 1 is just 25% of my desired size. So let's say you wanted to buy 1,000 shares of whatever. Tier 1 would just be 250 shares. The idea here is just to test the waters, just dip your feet in, get involved. And if the stock actually does make the move that we think it's going to make, then I can add to the position. I was not going to add to this position unless we broke through the high of the day and then maybe consolidated above the high of the day for a moment, just did one of these. All right, then I would have added to a full tier 2, a full size position, and looked for a continuation move higher, but we never got it. We ended up pulling back in, and I ended up selling out of the position right here at $7.72. So real small loss in at $8, out at $7.72, only 25% of my desired size. So really no harm, no foul. It was a very small loss. And again, small caps just trading like crap. Then we get to the SPY, and this was my profitable trade. And it could have been much better. Wow, look at this market. This market's crazy. There's some news right now about a possible currency pact between the U.S. and China that could be part of a partial deal. That could also see the increased tariffs that are supposed to happen next week. We can delay those. That's why you got that little spike. I'm not sure why we just pulled back in and then bounced back. I mean, maybe there might be different headlines coming across the wire. But let's get to this SPY trade, guys. And what I started to see here in the SPY was a little bit of an intraday head and shoulders pattern. There's your left shoulder, there's your head, there's your right shoulder, and there is your neckline. We were real strong here in the morning because President Trump confirmed that he is meeting with the Chinese vice premier tomorrow at the White House, which directly contradicted a story that came out of Beijing last night. Last night, a story came out of Beijing that the Chinese were very frustrated, that there's no progress, and they're cutting their trip to the U.S. They're cutting it a day short, and they're going to leave today instead of leaving Friday or Saturday. They're leaving today. That was a report that came out of China, and the market went boom, dropped big. Then 1 hour later, another report came out that the possibility of a partial deal is on the table. So the market came right back, and we opened up today basically flat from where we closed yesterday. But last night was a wild session. The market dropped big time and then bounced big time, all within a 1 hour time span. And then Trump comes on this morning and confirms, yes, he's meeting with the vice premier tomorrow at the White House. So which basically means that the report that came out of China last night was a total lie. They have been doing this for months now. There's been so many instances where a report has come out of China that has been not true at all. And guys, that's what you get when you have a communist state-run government that needs to still look like they're standing up to the U.S. and they're being strong. There's a lot of posturing going on right now between the U.S. and China on both sides. No one wants to give. They both want to look like they're being tough on the other side. And that's why you're getting such conflicting reports coming out of China. Okay, that's why. So the report yesterday was a complete lie. They obviously weren't cutting their trip short. And the vice premier is meeting with Trump tomorrow at the White House. Okay, so that's that. But anyway, so that's what created this move in the morning. Okay, that's what created this move here in the SPY. And I missed what was a really nice bull flag setup. This was a real nice bull flag setup here in the SPY that we could have capitalized on. I just wasn't sold on the SPY pushing higher here because I just thought this was an overreaction to Trump saying he's meeting with the vice premier. That doesn't necessarily mean that the talks, I don't know. Yes, it's a good thing. It means that talks aren't going poorly, but it also doesn't really mean there's a deal. They've met like 3 or 4 times in the past. I thought that it was maybe a little bit of an overreaction, so I wasn't really confident pulling the trigger on calls, but this would have been a perfect trade. This is a perfect bull flag setup, but I did not trade it. Instead, I got this head and shoulders pattern here, and I went ahead and I bought put options in the SPY right there. I bought the 292 strike tomorrow expiration contracts at $1.30 right here at $1.30, and we pulled into my first profit target, which is this previous pivot low, which is also the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern. So right here, I tried to take 25% of my position off the table on those contracts at like $1.48, $1.49, and I did not get filled. It went to like 147, 145, 146, and then the SPY bounced all the way back, and it just kind of ran away from me, and I never got a fill here. This is where I made the mistake, guys, so pay attention. This is where I made a mistake today. So now I'm still in the entire position from 130. Then we get this huge red candle. Okay, my target on this trade when I entered it initially was 292.25 because that was yesterday's high. So I was looking for us to break below the neckline, get down to 292.25, take my profits, and call it a day. So I tried taking that first piece off the table here, and I did not get filled. Then we get this huge red candle that takes me where? Right to my target. At this point, I should have sold 75% of my position. Okay, that's what I should have done. Because if this worked out, okay, and I got this fill when my first target was reached, I would have sold 25% there, and then I would have sold 50% here. So because I didn't get this fill, I get this big red candle, I only took 25% off here. That was my mistake. And the lesson to take away from this is to always stick to your, just like we always stick to your stop losses, stick to your profit targets and stick to your game plan. Because if that was my game plan, I should have taken more off the table here. I got greedy. I didn't know what this red candle was. I thought maybe this was some negative news with the China trade talks. They have a fancy dinner planned for later tonight. I thought maybe the Chinese was like, oh, we're not going to go to dinner, which would insinuate talks were bad. And then I thought maybe we were going to get all the way down to 291. So I started to get greedy, and I held on to the bulk of my position. I only sold 25% here at $1.71. So in at 130, if I sold 75% at $1.71, that's a real nice trade. Instead, I only sold 25% right there. Okay, and we ended up bouncing and rallying it back, and I ended up bailing on the rest of the position right there, break even at $1.30. So I'm in at $1.30. Took 25% off at $1.71. I'm out flat at $1.30. So could have been a much better trade had I stuck to my profit targets and stuck to my game plan, but I didn't, and that's the mistake that I made today, and that's what I could have done better. I would have had a much better day than I have a small green day here today, guys, but it could have been a pretty decent green day, but it's not. What are you gonna do? So we'll see, guys, what happens here tomorrow. Expect more news headlines to be moving the markets when Trump meets with the vice premier. I'm sure we're going to get tweets after that meeting to let us know how it went. And just keep your eyes and ears open, guys, because these trade headlines are moving markets, and they're moving them big. All right? We'll see you guys in chat tomorrow. We look to close the week out strong. Take care.